Time to take action, game devs. Tony Chan here, and welcome to episode 75 of Game Dev Loadout, where I chat with the best people in our industry every Wednesday morning. If you need motivation and tactics for a successful gaming career, then this is the podcast for you. Now let's chat with today's future guest, Sebastien Dussault. Sebastien, it is a game time. Are you ready?
I am. Wow, 65. You're prolific, man.
Appreciate that. So he is the lead animator at Meduzart and was originally working at Ubisoft. And he focuses on gameplay animations, script events, and cinematics, and testing animation systems. His work include For Honor and the Assassin's Creed. So go ahead, Sebastien, give us a bit about your personal life and how you got started in the game industry.
Well, basically, I started 6 years ago. I was studying at a local college for animation, and it was right in the middle of the financial crisis. So when I came out of school, there was basically no job. Nobody was hiring whatsoever. But I was still determined to keep on going and trying to enter this fantastic industry. So I got involved with iAnimate. I did a few workshops over there, and I met great mentors and was able to learn new stuff to a point where my demo reel was nice level, so I could get hired by Ubisoft. And from there, I have evolved in different positions, and now I'm animation lead for the cinematics department at Meduzart.
Yeah, that's a great journey. And how did you find the iAnimate job? Like, you saw it online, or someone hit you up or in college?
Well, iAnimate is an animation school, and it was created by Jason Ryan. And a friend of mine actually was mentored by him at the time when he was teaching at Animation Mentor. And he told me that Jason wanted to open a school, and I got into it. And basically, I was part of the fourth workshop, probably the first year or so of the program, and that's where it all started.
Gotcha. And I believe you're actually part of my first guest that's going to go deep in animation, because we talk, my past guests talk about art or music and other stuff, but animation, like, tell us more about animation, especially in video games. What exactly is your main area of expertise?
Well, animation itself is bringing something inanimate to life. And what I really like about that craft is that you are able to give emotions or tell a story through a character. And the fact that I've animated mostly in video games is that I was to be able to give life to a character that was being controlled by the player, which made the storytelling more immersive, and really think about how we can craft animation to tell a better story, but also support the design and make all the animations flow well so that it is fun and it reads well, and all the poses tell what needs to be told for design purposes, but also story-wise, how can we use those little animations in-game, in the scripted events and in the cinematics to showcase what is the persona of the character that you're playing, or the NPCs that you're crossing path with in this game world.
Yeah, animation is so important because you gotta invoke, I guess, that character's personality through his movement and the way he looks and the way he acts. And yeah. What is something we probably don't know about animation in video games that we should?
Well, animation in video games is really a huge collaboration with a lot of departments. So it's we're not in our corner doing our little stuff, and once the animation is done, we send it to the rest of the team and they put it into the game. It's a really iterative process, especially for gameplay animation. So we really collaborate with programmers, with designers, to make sure that what we craft is exactly what is needed for the game, but also is integrated properly in the game, so that it is nicely presented and the animation flows well between different systems, and all of it needs to work in all situations. So we really need to craft animation trees and be mindful of all the interconnection that the animation can have with all the different systems in the environment and the needs for the story and design.
When does animation take place? Like, of course, they draw the characters first, or they put the sound effects first. Like, when does animation come to play? Like during the process of development?
It depends a lot on the game. It can happen really early. We usually can use characters from previous games and rigs from previous games. So this way, it's easier, especially at the beginning, just to prototype and being able to sell how we want the characters to move and to sell also the way a system is going to work. And this way we can have either previous or prototypes that we can show to the client or the core team so that we can sell them on our ideas or show that an idea that they had is going to work. So this way we can move forward into production and be more confident with what we have.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So are you getting, so you're talking to the developers to find out what the character's personality is, how they should be moved, and then you start, trying the animations out on prototype, correct?
Well, it depends on the role that you have on the production floor. As an animator, basically you have to execute the vision of the animation director, and the animation director really collaborates with the different departments to be able to craft those needs and determine how the character is going to move and how the fight system, for example, is going to be crafted in a way that it's fun to play, and it also connects with the way the UI is going to be presented, the sound's going to be designed, and the level design is going to be done, but also the game design itself, so that everybody's on the same page and the little part of creation that we do connects with everything else.
Wow. So there's just so much to it. And I know, like, from a gamer's perspective, if they notice a bad animation, like it just sticks out. Like, if there's a bad animation, it really sticks out, and they just, I guess, call foul or something on it. It's crazy.
Yeah, how frustrating is it when you push a button and the jump animation is lagging because it's really well visually crafted, but the responsiveness is not there.
So what mistakes are most common, even at a pro level, when, animators are animating for games?
Moving too rapidly into production. You really need to make sure that the vision is clear, but also that everyone is on the same page. And you want to make sure that you think about how you're going to craft either your animation or your system, so you're working more in a smart way instead of working hard.
Oh, give some tips to make sure that we are working smart when animating.
Ask questions before acting. It's basically that it's not only moving the characters, it's knowing what is the need for the performance, either story-wise, what are the narrative beats that we need to address in a cinematic, or what is needed for that system, what needs to read, what needs to be seen, or what needs to be hidden in a way that we can hide some cheats in the motion, but basically make sure that the time range, the frame range fits with the needs for gameplay, but also that the golden poses breathe well and everything flows well. And the way you can achieve this is make sure that the way you craft the animation fits with the others' needs. And so it's asking questions, and usually filming video references, so it's easier to be able to craft the animation afterwards, or take the motion capture data and analyze it in a way that we have a tendency to just jump in and animate over that data and improve it without really knowing what needs to be improved for the context of the game.
So pre-production is pretty important. And so overall, give us your key principles for better animation. We got to make sure everything flows well. What else do we need to keep in mind?
Well, what is the focus, basically? What's important with that animation? If we think about a jump, what is important? Is it the impulse, so we feel as if the character is like exploding from the ground? Is it the landing that feels so weighty and can really transition well in different systems? Is it to showcase that the character is hurt and he's stumbling? So what is the main focus of that animation? And then how can we choose the right poses and the right timing to sell that main idea for the motion?
What games do you think like have the best animations?
Well, it also depends on the type of game, but if you like the type of game that I like, I think Last of Us has amazing animations, especially in the cinematics. If you go more into video games with less storytelling but really great responsiveness, I'd say Ori and the Blind Forest has some stunning animation, and it's a really well-crafted game.
Is motion capture making it easier to do animations, or is that even a part of it?
Well, it's a part of the process for sure, but it's a tool. Motion capture either can be an hurdle or your best friend. It's just the way that you use the data. So it depends on the type of shows that you are doing. If it's really realistic animation, motion capture is a great tool because it helps you to have at least a foundation that you could build upon to get great animation that are really realistic. Because crafting realistic animation from zero is really time consuming. And if you consider the amount of animations that need to be done for a video game, it's unsurmountable. So mocap really helps us to move forward more rapidly and iterate more rapidly and prototype rapidly also.
Ooh, so yeah, there's a big benefit to that. Awesome. Now let's take this on a more personal level. And you worked on big companies, Ubisoft, and big IPs. I mean, like Assassin's Creed and For Honor. I'm assuming what was like the worst moment of your career? That one moment that's still vivid in your mind. Be very detailed and tell us that personal story.
I'm going to be as detailed as I can, but basically my worst moment is my latest game at Ubisoft got canceled, and the one that I was supposed to move on a few months after got canceled also. So it was a big change of plans, and let's say that the situation wasn't that fun at the time, and that was probably the impetus of why I decided to move on and experience something else, and that's why I joined Meduzart, and I'm really happy with that decision a few months after.
Wait, so you say that you got 2 games in a row canceled by you?
Yeah.
Oh no, man.
Well, it happens. It's gonna happen in everybody's career in the video game industry, especially in big companies like Ubisoft. At some point, some ideas change, the market changed, the needs of the player changed, the vision of the editorial at the head office changes, and we need to adapt with new technologies and new ways of seeing the game environments.
So as a result of that, you decide to, up and leave and go to somewhere else where you can be more happier. And I probably would have done the same thing, because if I wasn't happy with how they're treating me or taking care of me or have the same vision, I would go to different companies. What do you want to make sure a game devs take away from that experience?
Well, I just want to make sure one thing is that I was really treated in a right. It wasn't that aspect that made me change the company. It's more that I wasn't aligned with the new vision, and that was it. Because the team at Ubisoft Quebec was fantastic, and the guys over there are doing great work. It's just that we, as creators, I think it's important that you are able to align and follow a vision with the company. If it doesn't match for too long of a period, I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, it's just, to me, you gotta have some kind of passion when you're working on something, because it kind of feels like you're just working just to work. But I think once you have that passion behind it, you're just more happier. You're just in a happier place when you work on something that you could help bring a vision that you like.
Yeah, and the output is way better, and the productivity is really there if you're happy at some place, and you feel respected, and you feel you're contributing to the final result the end game.
Oh yeah. Oh, what are bad recommendations do you hear in your profession as an animator?
Well, my pet peeves is overtime. I'm not really a fan of it. Sadly, it's part of our industry. Sometimes it happens. I totally understand that sometimes crunch time needs to happen because there are hard deadlines. But encouraging overtime is not something that I really approve.
The good thing for you is that I originally called the end of my show Crunch Time, but then have you read the book The Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason, the editor at Kotaku?
I have not.
Well, it basically talks about what companies go through. Like overtime is one big thing. And well, essentially I changed the ending of my show from crunch time to the lightning round because I want to be a part of the I guess a part of the site where I help to end the crunch time or at least help prevent it or try to find a more effective way around it. Do you want to say something that could help prevent crunch time?
Plan ahead. There's always something that's going to pop up that you cannot plan for, but you still can plan for those unaccounted for moments when you're in production. So basically, I have a percentage of the team's time that's planned for any technical issues or for changes of vision or for somebody that is sick. It's just that we need to have some buffer time. Either use that buffer time for perfecting the final result or use that buffer time to be able to adapt to changes that you cannot define earlier.
There you go, game devs or game leads, add more buffer time. Don't overwork people.
But the weird thing though is that this buffer time, ideally, you don't want it to be known. So this way people are going to be focused, but you don't want to push them too much under pressure. So it's finding the right balance of pushing people in the right direction and make sure that they are focused on the right vision, but have some buffer time in mind. So this way you'll avoid overtime, but you still get great results.
You're absolutely right. Like when you put like a shorter deadline, I think people are more productive because they have a shorter deadline, so they need to hurry up and get it completed. And so, but if you add that buffer in, I guess it's not making people lazy. It just gives more, I guess, leeway. And so it's not like pushing them further.
Well, as long as the objectives are clear, I think short deadlines are great.
Oh yeah. What are the biggest waste of time do you see other animators doing?
Well, it depends on the access to the internet that your studio have. I've seen a lot of people spend time on Facebook and everything, but it's just not asking questions. When you're stuck and you're encountering issues, or you're not sure what you're doing, or you're frustrated with the outcome of a shot or your work, ask for feedback. Ask for people to help you, or just ask if people have had those issues in the past. So this way you can find a solution faster.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think game devs are usually afraid to ask, and I want to encourage people to ask, because that's, like you say, it's the fastest way to find an answer to what you're seeking. And there's always somebody that's going to know the answer to your question. You just got to go out there and ask. That's the thing.
And if they don't know the answer, it's gonna create a conversation, a discussion that might lead to finding a solution, and that's important.
And I want to touch upon a little bit before that, where you say people were on like Facebook or something. Do you use a particular tool to stay focused? 'Cause like I use a Chrome extension called Stay Focused, which is like if you're on a particular website for too long, it automatically blocks you. Do you do anything in particular to stay focused?
No, I don't use any tools like those. Usually I'm really pretty busy, and I have my project manager over my shoulder if I'm spending too much time on one task and I need to go to one meeting or another.
Oh, okay. Oh, so yeah, you have like an accountability person to make sure you're on
Well,
top.
in my case, yeah, because most of my week is being spent either in meetings or having to review stuff with different teams.
What have you changed your mind about in the last few years, and why?
I think our mindset is always it's a flux. It's always evolving, especially in our industry when we're pushed to learn new things and to tackle new challenges and adapt to new technologies. So I don't have a specific answer for you. I just keep on learning and always assume that you might be wrong. So this way you're listening and you're open to new ideas.
Oh yeah, and people always say that the game technology advances really fast. Like, is it the same with the animation tools where you have to learn new stuff constantly?
As I said, it evolves, and it all depends on whether you're working in semantics and gameplay. If you're working in gameplay, well, you're bound to the game engine and the way it works. So you have to evolve with it. And as for the animation itself, there's some incremental changes every year, but the basic foundation, the techniques remain the same. It's just the way that we use the tools that might change.
What do you think about the Xbox One X, like the most powerful consoles that, could boost all these crazy graphics?
Well, it creates fantastic pictures, but in the end, we're crafting video games, and I think a video game can be fun on your cell phone as it can be fun on Xbox One X. It's just that you have to create compelling gameplay and amazing stories so that people feel immersed in that universe and they want to spend time in it.
Exactly. To me, in the end, it's all about the gameplay. So I hope Xbox One have some great, maybe exclusives or something that makes it unique, some kind of game that just really compelling.
Yeah.
You're more experienced and better now. What is one of the best investments you've ever made? And it could be investment of money, time, or energy. What is that best investment?
Never stop learning. It's just either it be buying books to learn about business, to learn about great people, to learn about different techniques, whether it be attending conferences and meeting fantastic people, going to meetups in the industry. And what I do also during the night often is that every month I try to break down one movie. And what I mean by that is just to select a scene or a sequence and cut all the shots as if it was on the editing file like the editor used. So this way I can see how movie makers are crafting their scenes, are crafting their performances, and see the rhythm of editing and the way they can build tension or release it, and how the camera was moved. And then with this breakdown of certain scenes, I can use that knowledge that was acquired from movies and try to apply it in the way that we tell stories in video games.
What was the last movie you used?
Inception.
Oh yeah, that movie has some crazy moments.
And you'd be surprised with the scenes that I've analyzed. It's usually the more toned down. Is the one that feel the simplest, but are usually the most well crafted, because they are able to tell a story and tell the dynamic between characters and the power change in a scene really efficiently and rapidly. And it's something that I think we're currently struggling with the way we are crafting narrative in video games.
Oh, can you give us an example of why you say that? Like, what's the big difference between crafting in movies and video games? Oh, of course, there's a big difference because I guess in games there's a lot more animation. Like, what do you mean?
What I mean by that is the fact that we tend to develop the cinematics apart from gameplay, usually, especially in AAA games. It's changing now, and it's a good thing. I think it's merging slowly. It's merging, and we're seeing that the two states of play are blending together. But usually, the cinematics are crafted by a team that's on one side, and the gameplay is crafted by another team that's on the other. And can feel separated when you play a game. For example, in an Assassin's Creed, the fact that it's an open world, it puts some limitations on the way you can really work on those transitions. So you can have a go-to mission, and basically you're running and speeding through the street, going through the crowd, doing some parkour, and then sprinting to open a door. And then when the character opens the door, he's walking slowly, not out of breath, happy to be there. And there's a separation in the two moments that makes them feel totally from different universe. It breaks the immersion in a way. So some games are able to pull it off better than others. I think Last of Us is a great example. The Uncharted 4 was a great example. It's not fair because I'm comparing open world with really linear storytelling, but still I think we can use the knowledge from movies and try to see how we can take those editing elements and the camera movement language and bring it to video games and apply it to help us better tell our stories. And some of those narrative moments can be done in gameplay, and there's great examples in a lot of games that you can find about that.
Yeah, and I guess like the transition needs to be smooth and it needs to make sense. Yeah, because like you said, the guys are running through the crowd, and then when it cuts to cinematic, he's all normal and slow walking and not even out of breath. So yeah, that transition wouldn't make any sense.
Or when you're supposed to have a surprise moment, and the fact that they are using a cinematic, it just fades to black, and then there's a surprise, and then you fade to black again to go back to gameplay. It just eliminates the emotion that you want to give to the player. And it's frustrating.
I do not like seeing that. It kills it. It just kills, like when you're doing something cool, and then it just kills the mood or the moment.
And the flow, the rhythm of it all, the pacing, and something that the fact that in movies they're able to craft every shot to build a scene, and every scene to build a sequence, and every sequence to build a movie. I think it gives them control that with a different approach, with a better collaboration between the different departments, I think we can improve that aspects in game. And that's why I'm going to talk about that at an event in Montreal soon.
How far do you think we are to catching up to the movies? Do we have that technology or that powerful tools to make the same thing happen more easily?
I think so, yeah. I really think so. I think we have improved quite a bit the technical limitations in games, especially for animation. And now we're able to do cinematics real time within the engine. And this way it helps eliminate the transition in between the different states of play. But also if you've looked at some shorts that were done by Unity, for example, with the Adams short. One was directed by Neil Blomkamp, the director of District 9, and it's incredible the quality, the visual quality that they were able to pull off with a video game engine. I think the technology is there. It's just that we need to be able to make it fit in the context of our game and within the limitations of some games, depending on the platform that you're distributing now.
Yeah, so and that's a good thing. We're constantly evolving. What was the greatest idea you had to date, like an aha moment?
We're really always trying to focus on our attention on our cell phone, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on email, trying to follow up with the news, trying to follow up with the new games that are coming out, trying to play them so you're able to discuss about those games with your friends, and trying to learn new things, and to a point where it's really rare that we just sit down and think about what we do and just try to do one thing at a time. Even if it's only for 15 minutes. Those 15 minutes can count. And in my case, the haha moment was realizing that I was trying to reach out in too many directions and just limit myself to a few specific objectives have really helped me grow as an artist, but also as a person. And it has helped me be more present when I'm with my girlfriend, and be more efficient when I'm at work, and be more precise when I do personal projects, because I have clear objectives. And the fact that I give myself limitations really helps me be more creative and sometimes find new ways to tackle a problem and be more efficient.
It can be overwhelming, right? With everything in the world, you could get information overflow, or there's just too many things to do. So taking breaks.
Information overflow. So being able to focus on exactly what you want out of that information overflow, and accept the fact that you cannot know about everything, but you cannot be present at everything, and accept that the fact that you have to let things go.
Yeah, and remember, not all information are good for you, game devs. Like, there are bad information out there. Just use the one that you could focus on that one thing, and put all your strength into it. Yeah. With the game industry booming, we got VR, AR in the horizon. What are you most excited about today?
I think AR has a great application. Yes, maybe for games, but mainly for the way IKEA sells its furniture. So this is a fantastic technology. As for VR, I think we're still a little far to make it more mainstream for video games, but for sure it's really promising.
Are you excited by anything else in the game industry?
I like what we just discussed earlier, the fact that Unity and Unreal and other game engines are really pushing for technologies to make the transition between different states of play that's really easier, and being able to tell better stories, and the quality that you're able to pull out of those real-time engine rendering is amazing. It's fantastic, and I think it's going to change the way that we previs our game, that we craft our game, but also how people are going to be able to craft shorts. And I see really a new trend in that, the fact that you can do cheap mocap with a few of your friends, with a few computers, and you can totally craft an amazing short film in 3D, which is something that was not easy to do in the past, or was really time consuming. And some of the aspects have improved so much with those engine. It helps us to reach new heights more rapidly. Yeah,
it's free too, so it's no reason to not get started. It's free, so go out there, download it, and get started. What is that one game that influenced you the most, and why?
One of the games that made me decide to join the game industry was Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, The Two Thrones, and Sands of Time. This trilogy was fantastic, and it has opened my eyes to the capabilities of playing in a fantastic universe, feeling like a badass, and have a fantastic story in between, and seeing amazing visuals. And it was a really fantastic universe, especially when I was a teen. I was just blown away. Other than that, I'd say the Uncharted series, Last of Us, Inside recently was really a favorite of mine, because it's a short experience with no UI, and you know exactly what you're doing. It's simple but complex at the same time, and the visual is stunning. So Inside, Last of Us, the Uncharted series, Splinter Cell, Ori and the Blind Forest, those are my go-to games for sure.
The first thing that popped in my head when I asked you that question, I had a feeling you were going to say Prince of Persia, because I just remember that game when it first came out. The first one, it was like critically known for its animation, its crazy animation, like the way the character moves, or it's like realistic, or it looked like it just flowed well. Everything flowed well in that game, because the game's all about movement.
Yeah, and the puzzles also, and the environment, and the magical aspect of it all. It was really nice.
I hope they bring that game back, because I'm a huge fan of Prince of Persia.
I hope to. Honestly, it's something that it's a game that I really would like to see again with a new touch, with the new technologies and everything. It could look fantastic.
Oh yeah. Well, why do you love being a part of the video game industry?
Because the context is always evolving. We're always pushing boundaries. We're problem solvers, and we're trying to use the tools that we have to craft amazing experiences. And each project is different, and each style pushes you to approach the work differently. And I just find that challenge fun and refreshing. Even though there's some aspects that are repetitive, others are always making you push further and trying to improve yourself, but also improve your contribution to the team and the product in the end. And the feedback of the players can be sometimes art, but usually the community is really involved, and it's fantastic to see that you're working on games that are being enjoyed by thousands and millions of people.
Yeah, I love seeing people's reaction when they're having fun with the game. Well, what advices do you want to give to people that want to become animators? Like they're just starting off or they just coming out of school. What advice can you give them to get started?
Observe. I mean, we're trying to emulate life. So you gotta be able to have a life first, live life, and be passionate about different things, and try to observe how people walk, how people interact. If you're at a bar waiting for your drink, look around you and see the different way people interact with each other, being able to discern what makes it feel as if you know that this couple at the end of the aisle is having their first date. Why? And those little questions, trying to take some notes out of your answers so you're able to apply it to your animations if you're talking more about crafting, acting pieces. And if it's more about video games, look at how people move, look at videos on YouTube, the way people fall, jump, do flips, run differently, do parkour, and go scroll down in those videos and highlight the key poses and try to copy them and then improve them in the scene. And just, it's a constant learning process, so you gotta always be open to new things.
Yeah, I love that. You gotta have that observation too. It could be like your point of reference when you're trying to create something. Yeah.
Yeah, and you gotta be able to feel it through your body. That's why I encourage people to do some boxing classes or kung fu or go skiing or go play basketball and try to be more attuned with your body and trying to discern how your body is moving and how the weight is changing on your feet and how the way you contact with somebody affects the rest of your body when you're doing some kung fu or and it keeps you also in shape, which is a good thing because we're sitting for long hours at the computer. So having balance is a really big importance in our lives.
Do you do boxing or kung fu?
Well, I've done both. Yeah, with my recent move to Montreal, I've took a pause on those aspects of my life, but I want to get back. I want to go back to the ring and go back to training as fast as possible. For sure.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to do that too. Oh yeah, you motivate me even more now. So I'm gonna do some more digging into that in Houston.
That's great.
Awesome. The show isn't over yet, A Game Thus. Before we go into the lightning round, if you enjoyed the episode and want to hear more inspiring stories, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Overcast. So, Sebastien, I will ask you quick questions and you'll be giving us a ton of valuable information in return. Are you ready to crush it and release the show?
Let's go.
Let's do it. What was holding you back from joining the game industry?
I was just not ready. I mean, being in the industry is a mindset, and I think my skill level was not up to par, but so I was not ready for the patience that it requires, but also the listening capabilities that it requires. So I had to mature a little before joining that industry.
What's a personal habit that contributes to your success?
Curiosity, constantly trying to learn new things. listening to interviews on YouTube, watching people play games, but also looking at the comments to see trends in the way people perceive a game and the positive and negative reactions out of a game or a movie to either reproduce the effect or try to avoid it in your game or in what you develop. And as I said, learning boxing, playing basketball, enjoying a party with friends, it's just enjoy life because it's a big part of being a creative.
Yeah, I like how not everything is just about the video games. There's stuff outside of that as well that, there's more to it than just video games. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think if you're staying in video games, you're just going to be able to reproduce what was done in the past in the video game industry, and limiting yourself this way will prevent you to innovate.
Yeah. Well, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
A constraint is an opportunity for creativity, and the result can lead to innovation.
How has a failure set you up for later success?
I don't see failure as a negative thing. I think it's just a push to move forward and learn from the bad that had happened.
Yeah, change that perspective, game does. Failure is something you just learn from. What's a great marketing tip to make yourself and your game stand out?
Love what you do. Be passionate about what you do and the way you're going to show it to people, and you're going to tell people the way you perceive your game or the way you feel about your game is going to be contagious. And at one point, you're going to be surrounded with people that are passionate also, and it's a positive circle that's going to keep spinning forward.
Yeah, I like what you said, the contagious word. That is definitely true. When you're around someone that's passionate, it's going to rub off on you. Like, you're going to feel passionate as well. And so, yeah, it's contagious for sure. What resources should we use to get started today?
I'd say it depends on what you want to learn, but YouTube is fantastic. Other than that, if you want to learn to develop games, just download either Unity or Unreal and start playing with it. Look at tutorials. Most of them are free either on YouTube or the company's website. And if it's animation, I'd say iAnimate is a great school. Other than that, it's a shameless plug, but I was there and I had fun there and I've learned great things. So I'm going to plug the school that was created by my friends. Other than that, I mean, it's just read books, look at movies, and play games, but also take notes while playing game and try to put words on how you're feeling and put words on your frustration. So this way you can find solutions to eliminate them in what you craft in the future.
What book would you recommend for people to read for animations?
It's not really about animation. It's more about creativity. Mm-hmm. I'd say Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull was fantastic. He's the co-founder of Pixar, and his mindset is fantastic. Other than that, recently I read the Directing Actors by her name was Judith Weston. And her approach toward working with actors can really relate to the way we work with animators within a team, but also with talents when we're in the motion capture floor. So it has changed the way I approach a shot for sure.
Yeah, creativity. You definitely gonna have that. Now, this next question is a bit of a doozy, so take your time if you need to. Imagine you woke up the next morning in a brand new world and you knew no one. You still have all the experience and knowledge you currently have today. Your food and shelter is taken care of and you have a laptop. What would you do step by step on the path to join and become successful in the game industry?
First and foremost, I would close that laptop. I would go outside, take a notepad, and just try to think and put words on the paper. Because this way, being able to reduce it to a few sentences in my notepad really helps me craft that vision. And then once I have the vision of what I want to do, I'm going to open the laptop and start the work.
That is really clever. I gave you a laptop, but you closed it and you went outside to get inspiration. Then you use the laptop. That's really clever. Awesome. We have reached the end. Go ahead and give us one last parting piece of guidance in how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Well, you can connect with me through either my website or LinkedIn. My website is sebastiendussault.com. As for videos that I put up online, I have a series also that's similar to yours, but more in the video format with creatives in the industry that's called Interviews with Creatives, and it's available on my personal Vimeo or on the Interviews with Creatives channel on YouTube. Other than that, my parting words will be just have fun. Yeah, you're not able to craft fun if you're not enjoying what you do.
Yeah, that's true. Sebastien, it's been a pleasure. Make sure you hit him up, Game Devs. He's doing a lot of great things. If you want to learn how to become an animator or just curious about how it works in video games, because that is something really important. Animation is just really, really important in video games. So definitely check his stuff out to learn more. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. For that, we are truly grateful, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for reaching out. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Game Devs, for listening, and don't forget that knowledge is only potential, power, execution is the game. Go to GameDevLoadout.com and type in the number 75 in the search bar to find Sebastien's episode for all the awesome show notes and where you can connect with him and check out the resources. Until then, keep on making great games. I'm Tony Chan, and I catch you next Wednesday on the Game Dev Loadout podcast. Peace.